You are familiar with that state when you are simply carrying on with daily life, not putting on a show or seeking to dazzle anyone, and all of a sudden you realize a prominent individual has been observing you much more closely than you ever anticipated, not in a creepy, stalker-like manner, but in a profound, piercing way where their focus almost feels like a tangible weight pressing on your skin. An individual holding genuine authority and real power, the type who never wastes energy on ordinary people, has focused entirely on you. And they are not merely slightly intrigued. They are completely and thoroughly consumed, unable to erase you from their thoughts. And what renders this entire scenario so wild is that they did not notice you because you were loud, flamboyant, or frantically striving to gain attention. Quite the opposite, in fact. They took notice because of two precise attributes that you likely do not even realize you exhibit. Two traits that pierce through the surrounding noise and insincerity, reaching their awareness like a signal that proved impossible to disregard. And now that they had witnessed these two qualities, they cannot erase them from memory. You have transformed into an enigma they must decipher, an entity they must comprehend, and an outlier that defies all their standard classifications. Allow me to sketch a scenario for you that might feel uncomfortably relatable. Picture yourself at a gathering, perhaps a corporate function or a social meetup, where certain individuals distinctly surpass you in social standing, wealth, or sway. You make no effort to dominate the room. In reality, you are likely standing off to the side, taking everything in while remaining your authentic self, not acting for an audience. Nevertheless, you spot an influential person continually casting glances in your direction. It is not merely a quick scan across the crowd, but intentional, repeated gazes. They are examining you, attempting to figure you out, while you remain entirely clueless as to why. You have not accomplished anything extraordinary, nor have you spoken any words of genius. You are simply present, existing as yourself. And that is precisely what confounds them, because in a world where virtually everyone is attempting to flatter, manipulate, or extract favors from figures of power, you are doing nothing of the sort. Absolutely nothing. You are simply existing genuinely, and it is driving them crazy. They are accustomed to reading people with ease, predicting behavior, identifying vulnerabilities, and determining what someone desires so they can either grant or withhold it. But you do not conform to their expected patterns. You ask for nothing, you seek to prove nothing, and you hold no fear of them. That reality frightens and fascinates them in equal measure. What captured their attention first, and what they cannot stop pondering, is that you navigate life like someone beholden to an authority far greater than human validation. This is not hubris, nor is it the forced confidence of someone who has consumed too many self-help guides. It is a deeper, more primal, almost instinctive quality. You do not scan the room to gauge if others approve of you, nor do you alter your tone to satisfy anyone. You refuse to bend to societal norms or perform for applause. The manner in which you present yourself indicates something that is becoming increasingly scarce in a culture fixated on external approval. You truly mean what you do, you genuinely believe what you utter, and you actually stand for principles beyond mere self-advancement. When an individual who has spent a lifetime surrounded by people, desperate for approval, witnesses that, it bewilders them slightly, because they have been conditioned to assume that every person has a price. They believe anyone can be swayed, and everyone ultimately breaks under sufficient force. Yet you did not. You did not break. Instead, you navigate by an inner compass that remains steady, regardless of who is watching or what is at stake. That autonomy, that total refusal to be defined by standard metrics of worth, acts like an irresistible lure to those who have constructed their existence around authority and control. They observe you much like a researcher examines a newly uncovered species. They monitor how you manage stress, how you handle provocation, and how you respond when someone attempts to push your boundaries. And what they observe leaves them perplexed. You do not become defensive. You do not strive to validate yourself, and you do not rush to offer explanations or rationalizations. You simply remain grounded, unusually steady, resembling a deep ocean current flowing far beneath surface-level drama, and they cannot determine whether this is genuine or merely a highly sophisticated facade. Yet the longer they observe, the more they realize this is simply your true nature. That realization strikes them deeply, as they have spent decades mastering the art of analyzing people, only to encounter the very first individual who completely stumps them. Your presence does not merely occupy a room, it transforms it. It alters the energy flow in ways that cannot be manipulated or directed. Conversations lull when you enter. People unconsciously adjust their stance, and emotions either subside or ignite, depending on your physical proximity. You are not even attempting to cause any of this. It is simply a byproduct of your being, and the surrounding environment bends subtly to make room for your existence. This brings us to the second element they noticed, the factor that ultimately drove them over the edge into total fascination. Your very presence instantly resets the emotional climate of any space you enter. They can literally watch this delicate shift unfold in real time. Tense individuals loosen up. Those putting on an act drop their facades, and dishonest people suddenly look uneasy. It is not as though you are taking obvious action. You are not confronting anyone or calling them out. You are simply present. Something about your genuine nature makes everyone else's insincerity feel exposed. This proves profoundly disquieting to those who depend on managing their environments and controlling the individuals within them. They are accustomed to being the ones who dictate the mood, set the tone, and decide whether others feel comfortable or anxious, depending on what the situation demands. Yet you have seized that control without even trying. The room now orbits a completely different center, and that center is you, rather than them. They cannot comprehend how you accomplish this. You are not louder, brighter, or more forceful than anyone else. You are not engaging in power dynamics. You are simply present in a manner so absolute and unapologetic that it forces everyone else to face their own lack of authenticity, and powerful people absolutely detest that. They hate being made to feel what they typically only inspect in others. Yet they are also entirely incapable of looking away. They are drawn. The situation they find themselves in becomes almost humorous when viewed in perspective. Here are individuals possessing wealth, networks, and power that most people cannot even conceive. They have built their entire lives around being the sharpest mind in any room, the one who perceives everything, and the one who cannot be outmaneuvered or deceived. Then you arrive, making no attempt to impress anyone, and completely disrupt their entire framework of understanding. Suddenly, they are the ones left bewildered. They are the ones incapable of forecasting your next move, replaying your words, mannerisms, and posture in their thoughts as they try to decode an energy that defies all their standard rules. And you have not even taken any action. You have executed no power moves, negotiated no deals, and threatened no one. You have simply existed truthfully and without apology. That is vastly more potent than any tactic or manipulation they have ever witnessed, because tactics can be acquired and manipulations can be uncovered, but genuine presence cannot be faked or manufactured, and they recognize that truth. They watch you navigate chaos with a composure that feels almost supernatural. While everyone else is losing composure, panicking, overreacting, and damaging relationships, you remain steady. You observe, you wait, and you refrain from rushing to break silences with anxious babble or desperate explanations. You are at ease with uncertainty. That ease, that refusal to be thrown off by circumstances, is magnetic to people who spend their lives attempting to dictate every variable. They cannot control you, and that reality feels both terrifying and thrilling to them. Control is their entire identity. It is the foundation of their success. Yet you reveal the illusion that anyone can truly command everything, and you do so without even trying. You simply exist in a way that lays bare their illusions. The transformation unfolds gradually for them. Initially, it is mere curiosity, a mild interest in someone who appears not to be playing the game. Then it escalates into fascination. They find themselves scanning rooms for you at events, noting your absence and wondering about your thoughts. Eventually, it deepens into an obsession. They begin analyzing you the way they study a market or an opposing political team. They want to comprehend your motivations, searching for an angle, a flaw, or a leverage point. Yet every time they believe they have you mapped out, you act in a way that defies the model. You are not striving to be unpredictable. You are simply being yourself. But that self is something they have never before encountered. This is precisely where the real power dynamic turns. Typically, in scenarios featuring a major power imbalance, the dominant party dictates the terms, determines the rules of engagement, and decides whether the other person matters. Yet with you, the dynamic inexplicably shifts. You manage to command focus and regard without ever requesting either, which stands as the rarest talent in the world. It is not a trait you can study, buy, or inherit. It is either within you or it is not, and you possess it in abundance. They watch how you navigate moments of tension. You do not escalate, nor do you retreat. You simply stand firm like a tree in a tempest, letting the winds bend everything around you, while you stay anchored in something far deeper. There is a lesson in that for them, even if they do not consciously realize it. Your steadiness serves as a reminder that true strength is not about domination or control. It is about presence. It is about being so rooted in your identity that external circumstances cannot shake you. They are fixated because they intuitively sense, perhaps without fully grasping it, that you have uncovered what they had spent their entire lives pursuing: a peace, independent of outside factors, a confidence requiring no validation, and a sense of purpose that feels no need to justify itself. And you remain entirely unaware that you are doing it. You are simply living your life, plain and simple, The reality that you are being observed so intently was not something you sought or even noticed at first, but now that you recognize it, everything changes. You now know that someone with substantial power has fixed their sights on you, not for casual observation, but for deep, sustained, almost obsessive scrutiny. They discern qualities in you that you did not even realize were visible, hear depths in your speech that you did not know you were conveying, and register the pauses between your sentences, your gestures, the subtle tilts of your head, and the cadence of your voice. What they witness is an individual who carries an innate authority that feels no need to assert itself. Someone whose integrity is so unwavering it requires no explanation, and whose purpose is so defined it needs no announcement. All of this acts like a doorway opening in their mind, introducing a concept they had never previously contemplated. What if the route to true power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering oneself? What if the key to influencing people stems not from manipulation, but from authentic presence? You are not instructing them with words. You are teaching them simply by existing, which is precisely why they cannot look away. So now you find yourself in this unusual spot where you have inadvertently become the focal point of an influential person's attention. Someone who possesses the power to open or close doors and alter the direction of your life if they chose to. Yet you refrain from participating in that game entirely. You do not attempt to leverage their interest for personal gain, nor do you revel in their recognition. You simply continue being yourself, which is the very reason they took notice of you initially. That is what makes their position so paradoxically fascinating. The more they observe you, the more they realize you are not putting on a show for them, which only intensifies their desire to watch you further. You have stepped into a self-sustaining loop of fascination, and you are the only one capable of breaking it. Yet you have no interest in doing so either. You simply keep being yourself, which remains the most impactful thing you could possibly do. This degree of focus carries a weight that most individuals could not endure. It would render the average person self-conscious, overly eager to please and anxious to impress. It would cause them to alter their behavior and attempt to satisfy the expectations of those watching. But you do not react that way. You remain unbothered, unchanged, and every bit as authentic as before. That response convinces the observers even further that you are unique, because your indifference to their attention serves as the ultimate proof that you do not require it. And an individual who needs nothing you have to offer is the hardest person to sway. This is the exact point at which we arrive. An individual holding genuine power, influence, and authority has identified two distinct qualities in you. First, your unshakable independence, your refusal to bow to social pressure, seek approval, or rely on human validation. Second, the way your presence alters the emotional atmosphere of any room you step into, changing the room simply by existing. They have registered these two traits, and now they are completely fixated. They cannot erase you from their thoughts, stop studying your behavior, or cease trying to unlock your secret. The brilliance of the situation is that you possess no secret at all. You simply hold the courage to be yourself, to stay present, to remain real, and to refuse to compromise your identity for anyone's favor. That is simultaneously the simplest and rarest quality in the world. Every single day as you go about your life, You are being watched by someone who rarely squanders their focus, someone who has analyzed thousands of individuals, only to find most of them predictable and mundane.